What's up, everybody? This is episode 2 review of the Loki series that is dropping on Disney Plus. Obviously, it's a Marvel MCU property. We're reviewing this. I do apologize; it is a little bit late due to scheduling
Yes.
conflicts. We've had to drop the episode a bit later, but yes, please check it before watching our episode 3 review. So this episode is called The Variant. I'll be one half of the host today. My name is Bogz. This is again, I've done it wrong. This is my co-host on this episode. His name is Sean. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to talking about Loki, and you're right. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record our thoughts until now, but still, nonetheless, missing our third membered soul. She's traveling about, so
On
we miss her.
vacay.
But yeah, but she should be back for our episode 3 review.
Mm-hmm. What was your overall thoughts on the first episode? Because obviously, it wasn't. Um, yeah, just to summarize, what's your overall thoughts on the first?
Oh, I liked the first episode. I thought it did a good job of kind of like explaining what the TVA was all about, kind of setting what the stakes were, what like exactly what's going on, what Loki's place and everything was, and I think it just did a great job of setting that up and then leading us into where episode 2 kind of just takes kind of over. So I really enjoyed the first episode.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I was expecting it to be a little bit more exciting. I think, but to be fair, I think the main point of the first episode was to set up a lot of the. It's just like a setup episode for the remainder of the series with the whole time TVA stuff. And just a overall summary of this episode, I thought it was just as funny as the first episode. I do really like Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston's relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, especially like the straight man, serious kind of Shakespeare-esque theater kind of type performer against like an everyman, super relaxed, and just the overall vibe that Owen Wilson's got. So he slips right into the MC really well. But yeah, what are your overall thoughts? Before we get into it, what are the overall thoughts on the second one?
Yeah, episode 2 I like just as much as episode 1, but just for different reasons. Again, I just think it expanded a little bit more, gave us a little bit more detail, a little bit more answers about like exactly how the TVA works, how the timeline works, what the red line meant, and things like that. So I think they did a good job of like again expanding out a little bit more, giving us a better understanding how the TVA works, how time works, and explaining like where the variant is hiding and why the variant can hide there, like all that. I loved all that because it all kind of like, oh yeah, that does make sense. So I just love that the rules that they're establishing and how they're playing in it. And again, you're right. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston's chemistry is just, especially like that when they're sitting down and he's explaining the Asgard thing to him. I think that was just hilarious. And this is the way they're both playing it. They're playing off each other very, very well. I'm loving the chemistry.
Yeah, talkie. Yeah, I mean, them two. I think it's the best part of the show, right? Their
Absolutely,
relationship
hands down.
and their humor together. So the episode starts off where Loki's got a desk job basically within the TVA, and the kind of exposition moves slowly along as the audience catches up. It's like a rehash a little bit of how time travel works in the TVA, and then we get kind of. Obviously, the whole serious Loki going up against the relaxed Owen Wilson character. They go back and forth a little bit. So they also advise on all the previous Loki variants to him, and they explain, okay, these have come before you, whatever. And then they take Loki into the field where he meets where the other variant kind of murders the other Minutemen. And we see, obviously it's hooded. You don't see, it's not a reveal as of yet. We just see the kind of ruthlessness of them. And then Loki, I thought it was really cool. They were in that kind of medieval reenactment,
Yeah.
some kind of thing. And I thought he looked like a detective as opposed to everyone else, or with his brown jacket on, with the variant jacket. I just thought he's got like a swagger about him. And they're again, just to reiterate, their dynamic really shows, and it looked like two detectives on going into a crime scene.
Yeah. Yep.
That was fun, and it's like a police show / sitcom with these two. So it's like two detectives at work, but it's also a kind of sitcom, a humorous sitcom. But yeah, overall thoughts on the opening of the episode, going into the field, and obviously him having a desk job at the start. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I found it very interesting because I like how Owen Wilson, when Loki in the first episode where Loki asked Morbius like how long have you been here? He's like, time moves differently, because when we see Loki again, it seems like he's been there for a while, but not like, because he just seems like he's come to accept everything. So he's just sitting there listening to Miss Minutes about like watching the training videos, and it's like, I'm watching some, not all, blah blah blah. And I'm getting a lot of like 48 Hours vibes from them. Like, obviously Morbius is like the established one. He's taking everything seriously, and Loki's just kind of like, I like almost like I broke you out of prison type to help us. I can't really trust you, but I gotta take you along. And he's trying to convince him like, no, this is what the variant's doing. I know, because that's what I would do. And then he almost gets him, and then he's like, you almost got me. He's like, I'm not buying your bullshit. So again, I'm getting some great 48 Hours vibes from them, which is great. And I love how they kept the other variant Loki. It's kind of a mystery. We still don't we don't know what this variant is doing. We don't know what the variant looks like. We don't know what the variant is doing. The variant like kidnaps the 1 minute woman, I guess, or minute man, either way, and it's still taking the charges. So we don't know exactly at that point what this variant Loki is doing.
So a couple of things that I'd say, I guess the criticisms. One of them, I'd say, I feel like Loki is just waiting around for things to do in the TVA a little bit, which I was a little disappointed with, to be honest. So I think he's too much of an exciting character and a dynamic character within the MCU for that to happen. And he's kind of just doing whatever Owen Wilson asked of him, which is just for a story choice I wasn't massively happy with. And also I think that sometimes Agent Mobius he is a little confusing in terms of his character choices. Like, 1 minute he's acting as if with Loki like he doesn't care about anything he says or does, and then next minute he's kind of like, he's with Loki, he's acting as if Loki's like majorly important to catching the variant. So I just thought, just to kind of, it smooths along with Owen Wilson's kind of relatability and his humor, and his acting is good. So you can identify like with that conflict, I guess. The everyman way of being, but yeah. So I feel like he kind of skips along, or like in between of like serious and like playful whenever it's convenient for the plot. Although I am enjoying it, I don't want it to carry on too much, because it's going to creep over for me to be a little frustrating. Does any of that make sense? Or do you get
well, no, it makes sense, but I think they're both just kind of. Well, I think Loki's buying his time. I think he's just trying to figure out exactly how the TVA works, how like the timekeepers. I think he's just waiting for his opportunity to pounce, pretty much. I think Morbius is pretty much just saying whatever he needs to say, or whatever he thinks Loki needs to hear to get the job done. I don't think he's really put his full cards on the table when it comes to Loki. I think he pretty much flat out said it, like, just believe whatever you want to believe. Like, either I hate you or I think you're cool. Believe whatever you want. Whatever it takes to get you to get on board is what I'm going to tell you. So I think he's just by the books guy, but I think he does to a degree believe this variant Loki is important and is vital to the task of catching the other Loki. But I don't think he cares about him as much as he lets on as of now. He may later on, but I think now he's just kind of like, if I gotta stroke your ego to get you to do things, so be it.
Yeah. So something else that I'm slightly flip-flopping on is the scene where he, as in Loki, is similar to episode 1 as well, where we see the destruction of Asgard. He kind of watches that again, something this variant hasn't been through, which I find a little confusing as a viewer. So he hasn't been through it. So he's not the same post 2012 Loki, right? So up until the kind of 2012 Avengers movie, that's it. So this is not the regretful Loki that we see in later movies. It's not the one in the sacred timeline, you know, post 2012. So for me, he's not going to feel the same impactfulness as the other Loki would. So I'm not 100% sure as why he's like I'm just not believing the emotion, to be honest, and especially seeing it through clips or highlights, something that we've seen many times before. I'm not really getting, it's not getting the emotion out of me, or I'm not saying like I'm just not as invested in this stuff as much as I would be. So your thoughts on that scene, you know, him watching the thing again, you know, similar to what they've done in the first episode. For me, I wasn't buying it too much, because I just feel like he's not the same. He's a variant. So he's not getting the same. He hasn't been through the journey as the other kind of you know, the sacred timeline Loki has. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. But he didn't view the destruction of Asgard in episode 1. He kind of saw other things, but he didn't see that specifically. So him reading and understanding that Asgard is destroyed, I think from his point of view, just comes as a shock to him more than anything else. That like over 9,000 people are dead, and I just think I don't know if he's really hurt by it. I think he's just more shocked. It's like, oh my god, this happened, and oh my god, all these people died. I think that's where it more or less comes. Not like oh my god, no, Asgard's died. It's almost like, oh my god, Asgard's gone. Like, I think that's more or less where it came. That's just how I read it. So I can understand why you would think like, why is he so emotional about it, because this Loki hasn't been through all that stuff. I get that, but for me it just came as more of like a shock, not like sadness.
Yeah, so I thought this in the first episode, and now I've doubled down on it on this episode. So, but it was just clearer for me. Like, they're doing it again, slightly different scenes.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it again the second time, to be honest. But moving on, so I think it did step up in terms of the last 20 minutes of this episode, and we see the climax of the episode occur in 2050, where the TVA take on the Loki variant. That takes on kind of many physical forms through that some kind of shopping mall or center, and we see them kind of invading people. I thought that was fun, you know, each having kind of one or two lines and then kind of dropping, and then him, you know, jumping into different characters. I thought that was definitely like some kind of teen 80s body horror type stuff. I just thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, especially like
throwback,
flickering lights and
exactly
the shadows and all that. Yeah, it gives some like horror,
like Lost
vibes.
Boys type stuff.
It was. I like the way they shot all of that. It's like empty store, empty hole. Like
it's like goofy horror stuff, but it works with Loki and
totally
in that world.
Worked. Totally worked.
So I did enjoy that stuff, and then kind of the variant reveal we see is a woman, and she's played by Sophia Di Martino, who's from my hometown. I didn't know that. I knew that upon research. I've seen her in other stuff, in some UK projects, and she's in a few of the movies as well. But I knew of her that she was British, but had no idea she's from Nottingham, UK. So I was shocked upon doing the research. So shout out to her. And then I think unsure at this point if it's the Lady Loki from the comics. Obviously too early to establish that. They didn't mention anything about that in the episode. So she uses the TVA technology to create different timelines, you know, with the charges and everything. And then Loki, for me, that it was interesting that, because, you know, she jumped out into the portal. So for me, it was almost as if Loki, for her plan, Loki's potentially not a part of her plan, or not too important potentially to the story overall, because it was almost, you know, she just kind of skipped him by in terms of you know, escaping without him and having no interest in him. I just thought that was interesting, like, oh, okay, where's this story going to go? And then Loki kind of leaves the TVA and kind of chases the variant, clearly tempted by kind of her power and her intrigue. And then so what was your overall kind of thoughts on the female Loki and that reveal and what's happening there? And I thought it was super interesting that she just kind of left him. I thought she would take him or had to convince him. She just kind of goes on her own mission. Maybe Loki isn't kind of maybe this series isn't all about Loki. Maybe it's about other things as well. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I like the idea of Loki. This Loki not being the star of his own Loki show, like
Yeah,
it's about another Loki. But I do like the idea that it's a female Loki that kind of puts a twist on things. Like we kind of speculated about that there might be a female Loki in there, and then obviously we know now that there is. I love the fact that she has her own plan. She's like, I'm doing my own thing, whether you're here or not. She kind of mocks him, like, oh well, you're the inferior one. You're the one teaming up with the TVA. You're the inferior one, and I love that they're kind of back and forth about that. And Loki's like, well, I want you to be my lieutenant. She's like, oh really? Okay, I'll play along. Where she's doing her own thing, and you're right. She just leaves him because I think she has a certain goal, which will probably hopefully we find out sooner more than later of what she's trying to accomplish. And this our Loki variant is just like, I just want to overturn the TVA. For what reason? I guess just because he doesn't want to be incinerated. I think that's what is just more self-preservation where he's coming from. And I think, and I think the female Loki or Lady Loki has just more of grand plans. So it's interesting to see that dynamic between like our variant Loki is just like I'm just caring about saving my ass, and Lady Loki just kind of like curious to see what she is really supposed to do. Like, 'cause she bombed a lot of the sacred timeline. She created a lot of branches. So I'm hoping also that this season they don't fix everything. I'm hoping that obviously they haven't officially said that it's going to be season 2, but it's looking more and more like there is going to be, that some of this spills over into season 2. I just hope that in the next 4 episodes, like, oh, well, we'll fix all of that, and then something else has to come out. Like, this seems to be like a huge deal of what she just did. Like, it got all the Minutemen up in a tussle, so it'd be hard for me to believe that they fix all that in 4 episodes and still have time to flush out Lady Loki and flush out everything else. To me, it would just, I don't know if I would, depending upon how they write, I don't know if I would buy that as much, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's still a bit early yet, but constantly throughout the episode, especially with the ending where they create the different timelines, the splitting and stuff, it just reminded me of the scene in Endgame with the Ancient One and obviously Bruce Banner Hulk, and then seeing kind of all, and how she explained it, and like, does she not know about the TVA, or Cap going back as well, going back to the other time. It just creates so many questions in your head, and maybe I'm thinking too much into it. Maybe they will answer some of this stuff, I don't know. But to give my overall summary of the episode, I thought it was a good ending, a more exciting ending. I just prefer my MCU stuff in a faster paced tempo, more exciting, action based.
By the way, you didn't like WandaVision as much.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's fair.
But
That's
fair.
fair.
I thought it was a good ending. It ended a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I just thought really as well, Loki. Can he really change, or is he kind of destined to be a certain way? Obviously, he's always going to be mischievous. Obviously that's his strength really for him. But even if he does change, is the change necessarily going to be good, or can he go? Is he always destined to be kind of evil, to try to overthrow, definitely interesting with him. But yeah, moving forward, I mean, just to rank this episode as well, I'd probably give it a 7 based on the strong ending. If it wasn't a strong ending, I'll probably give it 6.5. But I did like the ending. And I just hope it goes kind of more. I keep that tempo of how it ended, keep that interest. So I don't really, I don't love the stuff about the TVA, like kind of sitting down on tables and explaining over again and watching kind of highlights of your other stuff. I don't love that. I know other people do. I'm in the minority, absolutely, 100%. I understand that, but I just want to see a more dynamic series, to be honest. But overall thoughts, please, John, on summary of the episode, and if you rank it as well, if you want.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get your wish as things go along. I just think, like, especially like these first 2 episodes, just have to do a lot more explaining and setting up, because we don't know what the TV. The majority of people watching the show don't know what the TV is. Doesn't understand how all this works. So they have to set everything up. And I do love how Morbius and Loki were talking about like creation and like where everybody comes from. He's like, dude, don't even, the more you talk about it, it just sounds more ridiculous. So this is pretty much a show just saying a lot of stuff, just don't worry about it, just like go along with it and have fun with it. If you start looking in too deep, it's
you'll
kind of
question
ridiculous.
the whole
Yeah, exactly. You're just like Rainbow Bridge and all this stuff, just like don't worry about all that stuff, just just come along for the ride, and hopefully we did a good enough job of explaining everything, and enjoy it. And I think that's what I plan on doing. I love the episode. I love the way it leaves off, because it sets the stage for really interesting storytelling between Lady Loki and our variant Loki. So I really am looking forward to specifically the third episode to see exactly where does it pick off, and what I'm hoping we get a lot of Lady Loki in this, especially in this third episode. Kind of maybe getting a little bit more history of her, like what timeline is she from? Like is her motivation, or are they going to kind of stretch that out? Time will tell. We'll see. But I really liked it. I'm going to give this an 8, because I think it did a good job of answering a lot of the questions that we had from episode 1, and setting up Lady Loki, what her scheme is, and the difference of dynamic between her and him. I just thought that was great. And now Morbius is like, this goddamn bastard, I stick my neck out for him. So I'm liking that dynamic as well of him. Now I gotta go chase this guy. Now my neck is, I've stuck my neck out for him. Now I could be in trouble. And I don't know if I trust the TVA. I don't know if I trust the way they say it works. I don't know if I necessarily trust that. I think that might be a twist at the end. It wouldn't surprise me if it's not exactly the way, Miss Minutes lays it out. I do love Miss Minutes too, by the way.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, definitely. Me personally, I don't trust the TVA. No way. Like the kind of just droplets of information that they give Loki and us, the audience. Like, there's no way that could, like, why should we believe them? It's just because they're in charge, because they're more powerful, and just these beings that we haven't met or seen. They just tell us, this is sacred, and that's it. So yeah, definitely don't take it at face value for me anyway. But I want to see more of Gugu Mbatha Raw. She's the judge who plays the judge. Yeah, I definitely need to see more of her. She's really talented, and we don't have enough of her, just a couple of minutes here and there, so we'll see that moving forward. But you're right, yeah, in terms of Mobius put his neck out for him, and he hesitated for a second, and then he just went through the kind of tunnel, the portal. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him. Or
I love the hesitation. I love the hesitation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like I said, it was an exciting ending.
Yeah, it does, like, show you that he does care a little bit, because I think at the beginning when they were saying, like, I have to earn your guys' trust, I think he was genuine about that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when he sees an opportunity, he's an opportunist. He's just going to take it. It's like, I see this door to, kind of team up with that Loki, see what that Loki's doing. F you guys, I'm going with. So I like, you really can't trust me. I love how they were saying before, like, you're going to stab me in the back. He's like, I'd never do that. He's like, you've done it like 50 times. I'd never do it again. But you just did it again. So it's just like, I love all of this stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if, like, the whole this builds to a climax where the TVA needs to be, like, broken down and built back up. So, like, maybe the judge maybe there really isn't any space lizards. Maybe it's just her running things. Like, or she's trying to overthrow them. Like, who knows? Maybe she's working with Lady Loki. I just feel like there's a twist coming somewhere.
For sure.
But the TVA is not exactly. It's the way we see it is not the way it's probably going to end up being. I would put money on.
For sure. I mean, they dress in black, like the Minutemen, like, all the time. Yeah. It's like, I bet you're bad guys, really. But yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the episode review. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Sean, anything else you want to add or say?
No, I mean, I'm enjoying the series so far. We got 4 more of these, so I'm looking forward to reviewing the rest. And then we're also doing, like, Bad Batch reviews, so you guys can look forward for that, and trailer reviews. And then Black Widow's coming up pretty soon, so I'm looking forward to it. I already bought my ticket, so you can look out for a movie review of Black Widow when it does come out later in a couple of weeks in July.
No doubt, yeah. Exciting things moving forward. Come along for the ride. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Put your comments on your thoughts on the episode, what your predictions are, thoughts on our review as well, of course. And who knows, we might give you a shout out if you put some good comments in. So thanks everyone for watching.
Theories.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next review. Thank you for watching.